Welcome to the More Movement podcast, where we explore the dynamic connections between sports, physical well-being, and personal growth. What is going on, everybody? My name is Drew Moore, and I'm a student at Oregon State University, working on getting my doctorate in physical therapy right now. I'm a second-year student, and believe it or not, this is actually my second take on this podcast. So the quick little backstory, it won't take long. My friends have told me my long stories, or actually my short stories, are long stories. So we'll see how I can do on shortening that down. Already off to a bad start. But anyways, so basically I already recorded this, and what kind of happened was I scripted out this thing, and it was obviously a masterpiece because everything I do is a masterpiece. However, there was one small problem. It sounded like I was either A, reading off a teleprompter, or B, sounded like I was narrating a book. Neither of which is what you want for a podcast. It's supposed to represent an extension of the radio, essentially. And that wasn't exactly how I wanted this to come off as like a completely scripted conversation that I'm having with you guys. I want it to be hashtag real, raw, and relatable, as the kids are saying nowadays. So, without further ado, let's get into what we're actually doing before I go off on too much of a tangent. So, what is more movement? Well, I'm glad you asked. Hopefully you did ask. If not, then I'm going to tell you anyways. So, more movement. Some of you guys have seen my Instagram page. What was an Instagram page? It still is up there, believe it or not. Going strong. Has been unused for, I don't know, probably 3 months now, going on 3 months. But that is okay. We are revitalizing it, revamping it, and rejuvenating it, bringing it back along with this podcast. So that way we can be a little bit more sustainable on some of our goals that we're doing and trying to accomplish. So one of the things that one of my faults that I ran into when I was doing more movement on Instagram was, one, I really don't like social media. I don't like being on it. I just go on there and it's a void. So when I was going on there, I would take up like all of my time just on there for days. And then because I was doing that, I was just neglecting all of the other responsibilities that I had. And it was just really inconvenient too, because I had school. Getting my doctorates and stuff isn't just, a walk in the park. So every second that I spent, studying, I also spent, researching on different topics to talk about, which is nothing wrong with that. But then I was also spending, like 2-3 hours on one single video. Maybe not 2-3 hours, but like, an hour and some change on a video that I would put out each day. I tried to get ahead on some of them, but then things just kept on happening. Granted, they say to make time for things that you want to be done, or things that are important to you. Whatever that saying is, you know what I mean. So, and I would prioritize those other things because, quite frankly, they were more important, like, school, eating, and going to the gym. And you guys know me in my sleep. I'm working on it. I am working on it. I hear you. Okay? Anyways, so those things got in the way. And all in all, I just pushed it aside, neglected it, and just kind of left it for dead. Until I had the wonderful idea of starting a podcast. Because some of you guys know I can be a little long-winded. And hopefully, through this podcast, we can be a little bit more narrow-minded in a good way. And focus in our topics on things that you guys want to know, or some curiosities that I might have that we both share together. So for this first podcast, what I kind of want it to be is just a quick overview of what to expect on this podcast and kind of the message that I want to kind of get across with this whole ordeal situation, whatever you want to call it. So obviously, more movement. Those who don't know, it's my own fitness account that I have on Instagram, and it's also a brand. that I'm going to be working on building. Now that I'm done with school, I have all this free time I have no idea what to do with. So I'm going to actually follow through on a journey that I planned to go on what was last January, but now it will actually come to fruition, whatever that word is. You guys know what I mean. It will come to be. How about that? And we're actually going to do the thing with another element on top of it. And one way to make this sustainable for myself is we're going to have podcasts every other week to start off with. And if you guys show me enough love, then we can go to every week. But for now, we're going to start off every other week, see how we do, build up some content, get ahead of this thing, because we learn from our mistakes. So that's what we're going to do. And then down the road, obviously, we're going to be talking about anything and everything related to, maybe not anything and everything, but a lot of the hot topics that cover everything from sleep all the way to mental health, personal growth. We're going to cover the whole kit and caboodle out here, all right? We're going to go over some running techniques. Do shoes really make that much of a difference? As Spike Lee would say, it's got to be the shoes. If you guys don't get that reference, then I'm dating myself. But not really, because I'm only 26. Anyways, we're going to be going over all those topics and more, obviously, because I'm going to leave it up to you guys on what you guys want to hear, what you guys want me to cover. And my goal of this podcast is to bring in sports performance and present it to the everyday person, that you can use some of the lessons that we've learned from the research based on that kind of tech, or based on what we've learned in the professional athletes or in the military on those studies, because they just love testing on our military folks, which is good and bad, depending on how you look at it. Probably both. We'll just leave it there. Anyways, so taking those studies and learning some of those lessons to present to you guys in a way that's more digestible than all of the wild and wavy language that they like to use in all the research papers and stuff. So that way we can help you guys become better versions of yourself, either physically, mentally, or emotionally. And that way we're just living a better life overall. So you guys are also probably wondering, who even is this guy sitting here in front of you? Or if you're on your morning commute, on your run, wherever you're listening to this or watching this, probably like, who even is this guy? Why should I even listen to him? Well, I'm glad you asked. So I am a failed professional athlete, aka peaked in high school, and those were great times. Those were great days. However, I was really planning on making it big one day, and that just didn't work because I was a little bit vertically challenged. But I didn't let that get me down, because then I moved on to broadcast journalism, where I reached my full potential just to realize that I didn't want to do it. And then so I made my life a lot harder. And when I went into exercise science and clinical physiology, and then I was like, you know what? How can I make this even harder? I was like, you know what? Let's get a doctorate's degree. So here we are, working on our doctorate, second year in the program. And I'm at Oregon State University. It's the first year with the program. It's doing great. We're doing great out here. And I really think it's going to be one of the, I don't want to just, toot our own horn out here, but I think it's going to be one of the top PT schools in the nation going forward, really rivaling, that is a word and a half, rivaling, there we go, with the likes of USC and all the other, Eastern Washington, all the other top universities out here on the West Coast for top PT schools. Again, not to toot our own horn, but I think that we're doing pretty great out here, especially for a first year program, making some moves. But along with that, I also am NASM certified, NASM. I am going to be getting my CSCS for strength and conditioning as well. So if it isn't clear already, I'm a sports nerd, sports geek, love everything about it, I also love biomechanics, and how the body works is kind of my jam. I grew up watching, some of you guys might know this, some of you guys might not know who this guy is or what this show was. That's okay. But sports science on ESPN with John Brinkus, that was my jam growing up. And that is kind of one of the main reasons how I ended up in this position that I am today. Was, watching that video, or watching that series growing up, and watching how he would break down every movement that happened, why it's happening, and how to make it even better. And I was like, wow, that right there is everything I want to be in more. And then I decided, you know what? Actually, no. No. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go into broadcast journalism because I love sports and I love talking. Combine the two things, broadcast journalism, sports analyst, easy. And then I was like, no. That's still not it. Let's go over and do sports business. And then I was like, I don't like selling people snake oil. No offense to you guys that are business majors. You guys make the world go round and round. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to sell anything. We wouldn't have anything either. Benefits, pros, cons of capitalism. That's not this podcast. And also down the road too, or even now, I hope to be an inspiration for kids growing up, especially minorities who don't always see themselves being a doctor, or being, X, Y, and Z in healthcare, or X, Y, and Z in a higher up position. Not that, doctors or lawyers or whatever are any higher than a janitor, or any more important than a janitor, because everybody has their place of value, and things that they're great at, whether or not it is, if you're a janitor, be the best damn janitor that you can be. If you're a doctor, be the best damn doctor you can be. Another one of my goals for this podcast is also to bring on some people either in the field of physical therapy, or in their own professional field of, health and wellness, psychology. Maybe they're a head coach. Maybe they're an athlete themselves. Maybe they're just a regular person living their everyday life. I'm going to try and have these people come on into the podcast and get their perspective on some of the topics that we're talking about. And as we're on the topic of topics that we're going to talk about, we're going to move on to sleep. Is going to be our very first episode. We're going to do a series on each one of these, and it's going to be basically titled lessons that we've learned from blank. So lessons that we learned from sleep, and then there's going to be, X number of episodes on sleep. That way you can, if you're only interested in sleep, then you can go straight to that. Either if you're listening to this, 100 years from now, maybe not 100 years, like 10 years from now, or, a year from now, I'm only interested in sleep. And I know that Drew has the greatest videos and podcasts on sleep. So I'm going to go to those. I'm going to watch those videos, or listen to those videos, or whatever. And then I'm going to be an expert on sleep, know how to utilize it to leverage my own health. And maybe I can help pass it on to other people, maybe that need it. Or if I, sprain my ankle, then I'll know to do X, Y, and Z for this, that, and the other. So each category, like I said, or each topic is going to have lessons that we've learned. We'll also have some stuff on running mechanics. I already talked about this before. And we're going to have some stuff on diabetes education, heart health, different ways to decrease or lower your risk of developing cancer. And then we're also going to work on personal growth in general, and how some of these activities, such as sports or running or lifting, tai chi, yoga, whatever you have that you like to do, how some of these things can help us grow as people, and also create better relationships with people around us as well. Oh, and I almost forgot. I'm going to do a podcast on, quote unquote, being big and bulky, because that is one of my biggest pet peeves that I hear my friends talk about, or just people in general, some of my patients talk about. I don't want to exercise because I'm going to be big and bulky, and I don't want to look like that. I will just I will just leave that there and we will cover it. I promise. One of my biggest pet peeves. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you'll learn. Anyways, that is all I got for you guys today on this first episode of the podcast. Next episode, we're going to be covering sleep, like I said before, and that's going to be a little bit of a series. I'm still not sure on how many episodes, but I guess you will find out when I release them. But that is all I got for you guys today. I'll catch you on the next one.